All right, still so much we don't know about this into this yearbook signing attributed to Roy Moore. What Beverly Nelson is saying that she only wrote the added date and reference below the signature of Roy Moore, that he wrote everything else above it. But there is so much that we don't know because they're not sharing that yearbook with anybody. But it's added some drama ahead of the president's trip to Pensacola, Florida tonight, but miles from the Alabama border. That'll do it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, along with Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld.
Hi.
Loser. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. In a few hours from now, President Trump will be firing up a crowd in Pensacola, Florida at a Make America Great Again rally. He's about to leave Washington to make his way there. And in a tweet this morning, he said, "We have done so much in so short a period of time, and yet we are planning to do so much more." Critics hate to give Mr. Trump any credit, but he has been delivering on his promises to the American people. He pledged to make the economy great again. And today, a new Labor Department report shows our economy added 228,000 jobs last month. The president promised tax cuts for Americans. A sweeping overhaul was passed by the GOP-led House and Senate. He kept his word earlier this week to officially recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Meanwhile, fewer illegal immigrants are trying to sneak into our country, border arrests are down, and we are finally crushing ISIS. Is anyone else tired of all this winning, Jesse? Look at his face. He's a permagrin now.
Did the White House PR write that?
Yeah. Actually, cut and paste. Actually.
Hey, that's my job. I'm supposed to say that.
From that read at all.
Fact check.
No, I mean, CNN actually had a story the other day. It said, Donald Trump, keeper of promises. They're shocked because he's not a typical politician. He's a man of action. He's a businessman. So he's actually followed through. I mean, the economy's humming. ISIS, we're bombing the hell out of ISIS. And Mexico is still going to pay for the wall. I do insist. And listen, no, he'll be judged on the economy. I think 17-year record low on joblessness. And it's widespread. I think 4.7% Hispanic unemployment. In the Obama economy, in the last year, 1,000 manufacturing jobs were being lost each month. I think the Trump economy so far has created 159,000 manufacturing jobs. That's very, very strong. And then, you know, internationally, tearing up all the treaties, getting out of all the bad trade deals. You know, we heard about ISIS, and then he's fulfilling a lot of promises to the conservatives. He made Gorsuch packing the court with great conservatives. And I think still maintaining a strong connection to the people, the forgotten men and women of this country, defending the flag, defending our history,
our military,
defending our Second Amendment. And, you know, he does these rallies, which he's preparing for right now. It maintains the relationship.
This is such a auspicious day for Jesse Waters and the Make America Great Again movement. So obviously the speech tonight, people are enthusiastic about it. This is coming on a high note for the president with a lot of good accomplishments that he can tout. Can you add or improve upon anything?
Let's go over those accomplishments one more time.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What I want to talk about is how, what a strange phenomenon this presidency has been. We have a large part of the country who believes that we are in a Mad Max sequel. And then the rest of us are like, every day is NASCAR. It is incredible. It's really an exercise in mass delusion based on confirmation bias, that there's so many people. We're all looking at the exact same thing, but there are two camps that are seeing two different things. And I do believe that the people that are so entrenched in their negativity, they're led largely by emotion, and they can't let go. I think a lot of the confirmation bias is fueled by an emotional reaction to Donald Trump. So I always say, my notes here, the key is to separate the psychological effects of Trump from the practical results of his actions. That's how you're going to end up judging this guy. His in-your-face personality is always going to salt the wounds of people who don't like him. Like tonight, we'll salt the wounds of some people, but we'll indulge the pleasures of another. But the fact is, if you set what we did in the opening here, was we listed the practical results of his actions. And we're divorced from the psychological effects of his personality. And when you do that, you have to admit, this is a phenomenon. This is a consequential leader.
All right. So, Dana, what do you think about, like, what should the president focus on today? But, you know, obviously there's some accomplishments to highlight and focus on for the people.
Well, the first year of any presidency is usually the most consequential because you have all the juice from the election. It's behind you. I think that what you're talking about, the two viewpoints, that was true during the Obama years.
True,
as well.
I agree, yeah.
And so this is not just that phenomenon.
Yeah.
And if this were a different network, at the end of Obama's first year, they could have had the exact same list because it's just how you spin it. Another network tonight might say, here's all the things that Trump has failed to do or that have all the basically the headwinds that are hard for him. But I do think that if he wants to look at things that he could tick off the box, these things are all happening, it's really good. And I think, you know, the Obama team might say, well, look, today was 86 consecutive months of job growth. Okay, well, obviously he's only been in office for 11 months. So these things compound each other on themselves, and economies cycle. But there is no doubt that the consumer confidence really shot up. The deregulation effort is certainly really consequential. The other thing we didn't talk about here is something that is really having an impact, and that is the pulling back of all of those executive orders that President Obama put in place because they weren't solid. So because they weren't solid, he is able to walk them back. That also has helped fuel good economic things. There is a campaign promise that he made that he has not kept, that I think that I understand why politically he did not, and that is on the top tax rate for this tax reform bill. He campaigned on a 33% top tax rate, and that was actually all the Republicans ran on that together. I understand the concern that it would look like maybe he was giving the rich too much of a pass, including himself. So that's why, you know, it creeped up. And then that's why you have the individuals paying more in some cases, and then the corporations getting this rate. And the math is really hard to do. I think politically, it doesn't matter. They're always going to say that he's doing everything just for the rich. So in order for good economic growth policy, he should just be able to work with the Congress when they go to conference next week and actually fulfill that campaign promise, because it will fuel the economy more, you know, like goose it a little bit.
Ooh, goose
Watch
it.
your mouth, young lady. I don't know. We're
I
going to have
didn't
to
say it.
If you said it, it would be on the blogs.
Jesse was a ventriloquist, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, but so, Jesse, you would probably agree with that point, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we need top tax relief badly. He campaigned on it. He said it was going to be Reagan-esque. It's more Mondale-esque. And like you said, he's going to get criticized for it anyway.
It doesn't matter.
Why not do it? I think the reason they did it because it has to be a $1.5 trillion deficit neutral deal, and then you need 60 votes in the Senate. I know I'm boring everybody with that, but
Not really.
it could have been a lot more aggressive.
I feel bad for Juan.
Juan, you may have the floor now. Just, you know, just crush it.
Well, it's not hard to crush it. I mean, it's like what Greg said. Who pasted this from the White House, the communications office? I mean, you know, we report, you decide. What are the American people saying about Trump? His approval rating down around 32%.
But approval rating is... okay.
No, let me finish.
No, I'm
okay,
not.
no.
I can't.
32%.
It doesn't matter with this guy.
Oh, no. And let me just tell you something.
It doesn't matter. They don't have to like him.
Let me just tell you something.
They don't have to like him.
If this was Obama, you guys would be jumping on the table.
You don't have to like your boss. You don't have to like your president.
Let me just tell you something. What about the tax plan that you guys are bragging about? Oh, gee whiz, Gallup, 29% approval. Most Americans think this is a terrible deal, a giveaway. You say, oh, well, he's going to get criticized anyway.
It is a giveaway.
Because
We're
he would
getting
give it
our
to the
money
rich.
back.
No,
the government's giving our money back to us.
The big corporations and the rich are getting their money back, but the working
That's
man
because
and the
the
woman.
rich pay more taxes.
And this is what goes to Dana's point. Dana said, well, they're just going to say anyway that, you know, you just give away to the rich. But actually, the promise was that the middle class or working class American would benefit from this tax plan, and that's just not happening.
I think the numbers are pretty good on that.
I don't think
are.
so. And I think even today, when we look at the job growth, you know, everybody says, oh, this is great, this is great. Wait a second. Do you realize the job growth this year is slower than it was last year? Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's because they didn't count January and December. Because if you count it from Trump's election, it's actually better.
You know what?
Way to go, Jesse.
I'll give you a calendar.
Right?
Yeah, really. But I think you have to understand, it's not the Grinch that's stealing your coal here. It's reality. Let some reality.
He's giving us coal back.
Let some reality into your echo chamber. The echo chamber is getting a little thick here, I think. Even in terms of wages, which is something he said, oh, I'm going to improve wages.
I agree with
Guess
that.
what?
Wage
Wages
growth
aren't
could
there.
be higher, but once
Not
the tax cuts go through, that'll jump.
What about this, Jesse?
What?
Workforce participation. Remember we say, oh, Obama has low unemployment, but, you know, a lot of people aren't participating in the workforce because they're discouraged. workforce, lack of participation, actually up
But
under
part of
Trump.
that, can I address that though a little bit, because that is something that the Congress, the Republican leaders, and the president have said they want to tackle next year. And part of workforce participation is the amount of people who are on benefits that are actually able-bodied, but they would lose money if they ended up going to work. And that's why the wage pressure issue could get better, because if you don't have enough workers, you're going to have to pay people more, and then they're going to try to get people back to work that way.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of these people are getting older. They're retirees. And guess what? If you said that, when I said that a year or two ago, everybody said, oh, that's ridiculous.
That's true.
That's ridiculous. But here's the bottom line that I would say to you guys. Forget the Democrats. Just look at the Republicans. Guess what? Republicans have a lower opinion of Trump today than they did in February.
Juan, all you're doing
Oh,
is
my
citing
goodness.
polls.
Oh, that's
How
terrible.
well did that work during the
Terrible.
election?
It didn't
Oh,
work
my
at all.
gosh.
It wasn't a good litmus test. It wasn't a
Oh, yeah.
positive indicator.
Well,
But
he's not
Jesse-
the only person he's running against is
But your
himself.
first year is almost always your most consequential, and then you will continue to try to drive forward. It gets harder in an election year to try to actually get bigger things done. That's why you
does.
try to get them done as much as you can, and that's why they try to get the tax reform done, and the sequencing being try to do infrastructure and welfare next year. I'm sorry, and border security.
You know what also is helping him is the media creating a monster by combining various visuals and stereotypes and fear. They've kind of turned Trump into something else, like an orange phantom. He is almost like a supervillain. And that's actually added to his appeal, I think. I mean, I think if the media had not exaggerated the physical and comic proportions and his mannerisms to such a degree, I think he would be having a harder time.
Well, until this week, was anyone making fun of his mannerisms?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, in
I
the
mean,
past,
geez,
whatever.
isn't that SNL's entire
Right, but then the
90
bottom line
minutes?
is the numbers and
You
the
mean with the
results speak
hands?
for themselves, do they not, Jesse? For me, as a former prosecutor, I love the fact we've got a 25% decrease in illegals crossing the border, 40% surge in the number of deportations in 2017. This, to me, has a direct, pivotal impact on crime across the country, and especially in areas that are really challenged, like California and border states. To me, this is very good news, and he's improving on it, and only if we can build the
Wall.
Correct. New harassment on the Hill. Developments when the five returns. Stay with us.
You can be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast, to be the backlash of somebody's lack of love.
It's been a rough week on Capitol Hill. 3 lawmakers stepping down over sexual harassment allegations. John Conyers, Al Franken, and the latest, Republican Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona. The House Ethics Committee is investigating Franks' discussion of surrogacy with 2 former female staffers. The congressman reportedly asked them if they would serve as surrogate mothers for his child. He was supposed to step down at the end of January, but that exit moved to today. Now, the storm over Washington doesn't appear likely to clear anytime soon. A former deputy bureau chief for the Wall Street Journal says he's hearing the total number of congressmen with sexual harassment skeletons in their closets is over 40.
Not good.
Wow. So, Jesse, this story with Trent Franks is kind of interesting because AP is reporting he was offering $5 million to the women on his staff to have the child. Politico is saying it wasn't just a matter of having the child, but possibly involving having sex so that they would become pregnant.
Yeah, with all the sex harassment resignations, the swamp is draining itself. And I admired Franks. I met him when I was a young person here at Fox News, and he was very nice to me. I always looked up to him. And then I hear something like this, and it's hard to say what really happened because I'm compassionate to someone that's struggling with infertility. And I don't know whether he was joking when he said, you know, hey, would you be my surrogate? Or if he's serious, that's crazy and offensive and, you know, obviously creates a hostile work environment. So I don't really know what happened. No one knows except for him and the women he proposed this to. $5 million seems like a lot of money. I don't know where he got the money, and I don't think that's the price of surrogacy. I think that's probably over 100% over what the price
Well,
of,
it's a premium.
of being a surrogate is. So something else seems to be going on, and it's just sad. The whole thing is sad.
What do you think?
Again, I echo part of Jesse's comments with, that people struggling from infertility, things of that nature. But so you would have to really get more into the context of, what transpired. There are a lot of people that try to offer these types of services too, but it's not proper for the workplace. I'm not sure exactly what transpired, but, it's just a sad case. But when you look in terms of the overall numbers in the aggregate, I mean, it's just the volume of it is just really quite shocking, and these are people that you want to look up to that are serving.
Oh, you mean the volume
the
of people leaving?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it's disheartening because these are people that you would hope, they take an oath, they're trying to serve the country, do something for the common good. They make sacrifices as public servants. They take a far lower salary than they would if they were in the private sector. And then you find out, these situations, what's going on. Obviously, to the extent that it sheds a light on it, it's illuminating. It encourages people to speak up if it's happened to them, but also discourages others, perhaps makes them think twice before they engage in this kind of improper and inappropriate conduct. So I'm just hoping for something positive, to come out of all this.
Well, in fact,
and I feel for the
it's
families
damaging.
and for his wife.
I was going to say, because the wife apparently has been in the hospital. So, Dana, let's shift to another story, which is Blake Farenthold, a congressman from Texas. Yep. Apparently, he paid $84,000 taxpayer money to help settle a charge from his former communications director that he was sexually harassing her.
So Congresswoman Mia Love and Barbara Comstock, and then today on the Daily Briefing show at 2 o'clock, Kathy McMorris Rogers, though she said she would like to see what the investigation shows, they all think that he should resign if these are allegations are true, and they say that he should definitely pay back the money, out of his own pocket. Like that taxpayer dollars is not an appropriate way to deal with that. So the other thing that's interesting about just either whether it be Farenthold or Franks or whoever, Paul Ryan's office was contacted by somebody 2 weeks ago about Franks. The general counsel was contacted. They then called the woman or maybe there were more than one, and he's the one who told Franks, you need to resign, and then he brought it up forward, we're not going to wait weeks for this. Let's get this done now.
Now, but Conyers left. Again, the principal charge against Conyers was he used office money, taxpayer dollars, to pay off, and the same thing applies to Farenthold, but he's still there.
Right. That's why these Republican congresswomen are saying that that's probably not right.
Greg.
Yes, sir.
MSNBC, Harold Ford, who was a congressman himself, but then went to work for Morgan Stanley. He's now out at MSNBC.
Well, first, I am a little disappointed on the 5 for our lower thirds not using the phrase surrogate.
You mean like Watergate?
That was witty.
That's good. There you go.
Anyway, you bring up Ford, you talk about Franks, and you talk about this real looker, Farenthold. I mean, boy. Each case...
Are they doing this alphabetically?
Yeah, no. Each case is like a dirty snowflake. It's unique and unsavory. And we have to remind ourselves that every one of these things cannot fit into a file. They're all different and weird. One involves saying weird, crass, goofy stuff. Other stuff is creepy. Other stuff is touching. Other stuff is assault. But I keep saying this, the danger of leveling all of these accusations as one thing, you're not only to get rid of the fiends, you're going to punish people that don't deserve to be punished. I feel sorry for some of these people because I keep thinking, is that as bad as that?
Right.
And we cannot forget where this all started.
You want to separate the trash, like the recyclables over here.
Exactly.
Versus your nasty Chinese food.
Good metaphor. Good metaphor. Get the plastics, the paper. But you know what? We have to remind ourselves, this all started in one place. And we're going to talk about Hollywood in the next block. But it started in Hollywood.
Deep teeth.
It was propagated and enabled by a group of people who've been lecturing us for years about our behavior. So I'm not going to listen to any actors, directors, or producers who provided sanctuary to serial rapists and predatory sex pests anymore.
Well, what about Trump? Should he have to go?
Go where?
Go where?
Okay.
I think the public decided on that one.
Oh, okay. More anti-Trump.
We're okay with the court of public opinion on a lot of this stuff, apparently.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Minnesota voters didn't get a choice.
Yeah, I don't
Neither
think
did
so.
Michigan voters.
All right.
They
I have to go, gentlemen. And
I'm not ready yet.
I'm sorry, Gregory. More anti-Trump.
I wrote a poem.
You have a poem?
Yes.
Okay. More anti-Trump. Do it in the next block. From liberal Hollywood, what Jennifer Lawrence and Chelsea Handler are teed off about now. You'll find out right here on The Five.
Here's a news flash. Liberal Hollywood elites are still losing their minds over the Trump presidency. Jennifer Lawrence, the latest case study. In a new interview, Oprah asked the actress if she'd ever like to meet the president. Her answer, I think so. I've got a pretty good speech, and it ends with a martini to the face. Wow, classy. The president is now apparently responsible for natural disasters in America. That's according to his biggest fan, Chelsea Handler. She's now blaming him for the wildfires out in California, tweeting, just evacuated my house. It's like Donald Trump is setting the world on fire, literally and figuratively. Stay safe, everybody. Dark times. Gutfeld, weren't there wildfires burning things down during the Obama administration?
Yeah, but that was also Trump's fault.
Okay, forgot about that.
Because remember, The Apprentice was on, and that was
That's
upsetting
true.
a lot of people. They're obviously suffering. They're still suffering. They're broken. These are broken people. They were broken by the election. And because they haven't left their bubble, they have bubbleitis, they haven't left their sealed compartments. So they're still suffering. They need to go out and actually talk to people. I give Sarah Silverman credit. She actually went out and talked to somebody, but she's still, half her mind is still lost. But here in the five, they should look at the five. We don't have the luxury that they do. Every day we're outside of a bubble, bickering and yelling at each other because we have different points of view. People always bang on about Fox News. Look at Hollywood. Hollywood is
lockstep.
A full lockstep. And I also do think to go back to our earlier segment, they're in crisis over their own guilt.
Yeah.
They are complicit, and I think they're transferring their shame over Weinstein and Toback onto Trump because now they're pointing at him with all of his flaws because they knew what was going on for decades.
And did nothing.
You know what I don't like? I don't like when someone like Jennifer Lawrence will say she wants to throw a drink in the President of the United States' face, and everyone thinks it's funny and it's cute. If someone had said that about Barack Obama, they would have sent the Secret Service actor, the actress.
Yeah, I thought you were going to look at Juan for some help there. But, yeah, it's total double standard, and I don't like the disrespect at all, to be honest with you. I don't think it's conduct unbecoming. It's not polite. It's not courteous, certainly. I don't understand why. It's like they have emotional issues, and there's a lot of, just transference, and they're trying to put everything on the president, that it doesn't matter what's happening in their life or day to day. They want to find a way to tie it in and flip the script and, put it on the president instead.
And you saw this derangement syndrome when you were in the Bush administration. Do you think it's even worse? Do you think it's not as bad? How would you describe the differences?
I think part of it is worse is because people like Chelsea Handler have Twitter, right?
Yeah.
We didn't really have social media.
You're right.
And I think it ruins so many people. The other thing is, it's big controversy this week is Taylor Swift, who says she does not want to talk about politics, and everybody in Hollywood are trying to push her into it. How could you not talk about politics?
It's a smart business decision.
That's why she's winning.
Super smart, and she's dignified and classy, and she's knows what her business is, and why get involved in politics?
Juan, your side likes to claim they have a monopoly on, they're polite society, they're very dignified, very classy, yet they act so rude.
Well,
do you see the difference?
I don't know that I'm responsible for these actors and actresses.
I'm holding you responsible.
But I'm glad to be, because when I'm looking at Jennifer Lawrence, who is just a terrific actress.
She's great.
I'm just thinking to myself, you guys think that she's just being rude, but you don't say, well, gee, who's the bullying, rude person who talks about grabbing someone like an actress, a beautiful actress, by the crotch? Who could have said such a thing?
Well, I mean, if someone tries to grab someone by the crotch, yes, they have all the right to throw a drink in their face.
Well, so you can imagine
But I don't
why...
think Trump tried to do that with Jennifer Lawrence.
No, but you can imagine, therefore, why a woman who thinks I'm standing up for women says, I don't like that behavior.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Juan. I mean, the fact is, we have changed. We've lowered the bar on discourse, so everything's game. I don't care. She should be able to say whatever she wants.
I don't care.
And it doesn't bother me the least.
And Taylor Swift should be allowed to say nothing.
Exactly, that's the thing. So
point.
it's this is just something where it's more about the trouble that's going on in their heads than what's coming out of their mouths. I find that more interesting.
Said that.
But we can still judge them for it.
Yes, we can, because we are Fox.
We sit in
There
judgment.
could soon be an end to the office Christmas party. And we can blame millennials for that. Right back.
Santa's gotta make it to town. Santa, make him hurry, tell him he can take the freeway down.
The only way I could make Greg happier is by having country Christmas music as my lead-in. Because we're going to talk about Christmas parties. The Weekly Standard details a new holiday party policy for what a company could get together could soon look like if the millennials get a hold of the playbook. The article spotlights Vox Media and how they approach the holiday party since the boom of sexual harassment accusations across the country. The biggest change is receiving only 2 drink tickets for attendees, non-alcoholic drinks to follow. But is this over the top? Do we now need chaperones and drink restrictions so we don't have future incidents? Greg, in the policy code of conduct for Vox Media, it says, be polite and friendly in all forms of communication, especially remote communication where opportunities for misunderstanding are greater. Use sarcasm carefully.
Oh, my goodness.
Tone is hard to decipher online. Make judicious use of emoji to aid in communication. I thought you would love that.
Yes, well, emojis do make things much easier. Look, office parties are overrated. It's a forced kind of fun. If you're the guy or the girl who really looks forward to an office party, that means you need to improve your social networks and find people outside of work.
And skip them like you do?
You'd skip them like I do. Because the point is, office parties are to get drunk at because it's free booze. Right. You go to something where there's free booze to get drunk at. Now, because of the consequences and legitimate consequences of what's been going on, people are worried, you know, and there's no more booze. Why am I going?
Right.
I don't want to. No. Think about it. Why am I going? I see you at work sober. I don't need another 2 hours of talking to you people. I've had it. After this show, I go home.
A 2-drink limit would suit me just fine, Jesse.
Good God. I wish you had a drink during the show.
We're having
I was drunk now.
a Christmas party, and the only reason I'm going is because there's unlimited alcohol, because I won't be sober around someone like Gutfeld.
Why? Well, you can't control yourself? I know.
I can't keep my hands off them. No, listen, I think the liberals first, the millennials, I think they changed it from Christmas party to holiday party. Now you can't drink. It's not the greatest generation. And if you can't trust your own employees not to sexually harass each other after a few drinks,
and all the
you're
training.
hiring a bunch of animals. You're hiring the wrong people. So I think it's ridiculous, and I'm looking forward to the Fives Christmas party.
Yeah.
Me too.
I won't be there.
See what I mean?
Good.
How interesting that it's scheduled when I have to work.
Yeah, but you know
You
why?
didn't tell people
We
that.
did that
I did.
on purpose.
No,
did.
you didn't. We sent
I
out an
told the
email.
producers.
Hey, is this date okay? And then we selected
Hey,
the
look,
date
I don't
based
care.
on availability.
I'm doing my show, which is on Saturdays at 10 o'clock. Better than
Kimberly,
the
is this a
5.
smart
Way better.
policy to avoid, legal problems?
I don't know. There's ways around this. There's black market for drink tickets. So
See me after the show.
Yeah, exactly. You find out what color the tickets are. You print some ahead of time. Yeah, flasking. Also, there's people that don't drink. You go to the vegetarian kale types. They're probably not going to drink.
Yeah,
so then
give
you
me their
also,
tickets.
But
Take
my
their
advice
tickets.
for especially the younger women is you only have 1 drink anyway.
That's
right.
probably
I mean,
good.
that's just a good policy.
You want to be careful. Exactly. I think you should be on the dance floor more. That's what I
But
do.
it's not, that's not just about
Why not?
vulnerability. It's also
The dance
about
floor's bad?
not
Don't make a fool of yourself. You don't want to
But I
have a
think
problem.
If you're on the dance floor and then people, say, "Hey, you're dancing. Why are you dancing so close with that woman?" I don't know.
Well, I didn't tell you to go on the dance floor. I said,
By the way,
I'm
there
gonna
is
be on the dance
dancing
floor.
at our holiday party. I thought that's strange.
At our party? The 5 one or the one for Fox?
Well, I can make that happen.
Oh, the Fox one has. We're going to definitely do that.
There's a pool
Dances
table.
at their holiday party.
I do.
If there's drinks, we're dancing.
Yeah, but you know what?
Jesse,
Now they
you were
say so. They
dancing.
have some suggestions that just are strange. Water down the drinks. They tell the bartenders to water down the drinks.
Yeah.
No mistletoe. No dancing.
Yeah, no mistletoe. That's hilarious.
No mistletoe, right?
mistletoe.
And
What are
then
you talking? Why would you have mistletoe at an office party? That is the most disgusting thing ever.
No, only in Congress.
No, that's who had
It's on the
mistletoe?
Get to